this is Peter Propp, and the timer just started.
Hi, my name is John Blossom, and welcome to another episode of 10-Minute Strategy. Today, it's Superphones.
It's the Superphone episode. We started talking about the latest trends in the app phone business a few weeks back.
Right.
And at the time, I mentioned that I felt that the Verizon iPhone combo was really not going to reach full potency for a while now. And then just last week I saw AT&T with basically an attack ad stating quite clearly, and they clearly had researched it, that you will not be able to multitask on the iPhone when you're on a phone call on Verizon. So right now iPhone users on AT&T can be on a phone call and send out a text and surf the web and check out Facebook, and they can do all those things at the same time because the GSM standard allows for that. The CDMA version of the iPhone will not allow that sort of multitasking during a phone call. Yeah. And I think people are going to be really disappointed by that.
Yeah, so it kind of limits the amount of yardage that Apple is going to be able to get out of this long heralded and ballyhooed Verizon move.
Exactly.
And I always found that a little bit strange because on Sprint, which is also CDMA network, and Superphones often are equipped with 2 CDMA circuits. But obviously, Verizon, being the kingpin, decided not to go that route.
Exactly. It's an interesting choice.
Yeah.
And it really highlights what we're talking about today, which is the iPhone story. While it's fascinating, I'm an iPhone user for the time being. I don't think the iPhone story is the end game here.
Yeah, and we're not here to be Apple fanboys or Android fanboys. We're content market fanboys.
Right.
And the truth of the matter is the star of the mobile phone market this year is the dual-core 1 gigahertz processor. That means that you've got basically twice the processing power and more of the typical superphone that's been out on the market to date.
Right.
And these things are really not only making the phones themselves amazing, but they're really beginning to cause a lot of confusion as to what really is the platform that you're on at any particular point in time.
Right. Is it a phone? Is it a PC?
Is it a phone? Is it a PC? Is it a television? And there are a couple of really key examples that came out of CES. Number one, the Motorola Atrix phone. Mm-hmm. That's ATRIX. And the Atrix phone can do all sorts of things. It can hook into televisions and what have you. But one of the things they demoed at the show was taking this Motorola Atrix phone, putting it into the slot of a device that is basically a laptop PC without brains. And the Atrix is the brain of the laptop. So all of a sudden you've got a mobile phone that is your laptop solution. Another good example of that came from LG, and they had a phone called the LG Optimus 2X. And that's kind of their flagship dual-core processor phone. And they had a great demo of this thing driving a 1080p high-definition movie right off the phone effortlessly into a full HD television display.
Wow.
And it's able to record 1080p video to boot.
Right.
So what's your channel strategy in this all of a sudden? And this has to blur the lines and accelerate some of the angst issues that a lot of people in the content industry have in terms of, how do I approach my channel partners?
Mm-hmm. I think it's really interesting when you think about the possibilities for the mobile platform.
Right.
We all, our eyes were all opened when the iPhone came out, and then when Android came out, it was like, well, we could do all the iPhone stuff, and then we can do a lot more stuff. And Android certainly has taken over from a numbers point of view. Now both these phones are Android phones, is that right?
Both of these are Android phones, but notice I didn't say necessarily it's all because of Android.
No, but
Android does some amazing things,
right.
But it's just the hardware itself that is really beginning to drive some of these issues.
And I wonder about the Windows 7 phone as well. You'll probably see some dual processors with that as well.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So Android is obviously gaining that market share very rapidly, cross-platform, doing in a sense what PCs did on IBM standardized software and hardware thanks to Microsoft a generation ago.
Right.
So all of a sudden Android is doing the same thing and saying, well, any manufacturer of hardware or any network provider can come to us, and boom. All of a sudden Apple will have a lot of run for its money, just like it did back in the 80s.
Right, which actually leads you to think, what might we be seeing in the next iPhone? So it's iPhone, I guess it's 5 that's going to be coming out this spring or in the June timeframe. Dual processor, you know.
We'll have to see.
Right.
But at the same time, you know, we do have Apple, we have Android, we have Research in Motion BlackBerry,
right.
We have
Windows
Palm
7.
Pre-OS, we have Windows 7. All these things are coming out. They're all going to be on powerful processors, one way or the other.
Right.
They're all going to have these multi-sensor capabilities. And the question becomes, you as a licensor of content, you can't rely anymore just on Apple for your distribution strategy, on Amazon for your distribution strategy, on Microsoft, on whomever.
Right.
You know, it's a true cross-platform environment here.
Right. And the players like YouTube have clearly been able to figure out how to play on all those platforms. It's important to their business, and all the players are coming to them. And that's really the model that I think is going to be out there. The players that are successful are going to have to do those deals far in advance with a platform that's been built to provide flexibility in terms of output, right?
Absolutely.
If you're not there, if you have just promised yourself you're only going to go down one platform, you're going to be really hosed.
Exactly. And this is what Google ultimately is trying to tell us with WebM. There are a lot of different video standards that are out there, and some of them have been in use for a long time. But Google, with its Chrome browser, is trying to suggest to people, try to standardize on a video standard that's going to take you across as many platforms as possible, into as many markets as possible, cost effectively. Now, whether WebM survives or not as a video standard is ultimately not the point. The point is that you can't necessarily rely on those types of technologies to give you exclusivity, when it's not a matter of exclusivity on this mobile phone versus that mobile phone, because the phone, the television, the PC are all part of the same strategy.
Right. So let's take me through a scenario. You've got the super dual processor gadget.
Right.
Here it is. And you're out and about, you're doing business in New York, you're on the train, whatnot.
Right.
And then you come to a setting like a conference, and it's time to do some typing. You take this device and you slam it into a port, and that becomes the hard drive and the network?
Well, it becomes your hard drive, it's your network card, it's also driving your display, so you get a full-size display.
Right. And you get a full keyboard out of it.
And you're all done. You're all done and dusted.
Is the PC in that scenario providing the additional RAM, I guess, to run?
Potentially, but you know, already
Cooling.
these things are pretty hardy as it is. You know, this phone sitting here is a Superphone, and that's got has at least 1 gig of memory on it, plus the onboard storage of 16 gig.
Right.
So that's already up there in netbook territory, and with these Superphone processors doubling the power of what's sitting right between us, and within the next year or so making 32 gig the storage standard, and probably going to 100 gig pretty soon thereafter. What's in our hands as a mobile phone is going to eclipse most laptops that people are using in business today real quickly.
Very interesting. You think about what's the port and what's the thing that goes in the port. Remember, we used to have our laptops, and you do at your desk, I know, your laptop, and you stick it into the port to get the monitor capability.
Yes.
Now we're talking about taking this phone as the smarts and sticking it into a dumb laptop, essentially.
Yep. Exactly.
So what's the port and what's the smarts? That seems in the technology world, that keeps on changing.
Right. So, content licensors, if you're out there saying, here's my TV strategy, here's my mobile phone strategy, here's my PC strategy, think again, who is my person strategy? Who's what's my strategy for the people that I want to get the content to?
Right. Excellent. Well, I think we've about wrapped up our time. John, thanks for another episode of 10 Minute Strategy. It's been a lot of fun. I'm Peter Propp.
I'm John Blossom. Come back again. We do this very often. Thank you.
Take care.